Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Small Business Saturday. My name is Heather, and I'm running for City Council. One of the cornerstones of my campaign is to reach out to small businesses and see how the city can help them. And today I'm here with Jodi Shays, who is the owner of Queen Bee Salon in Culver City. So, Jodi, can you tell us a little bit about your business this morning?
Yeah, thank you for having me on. And I am in my 14th year,
Woo!
21st year as a resident of Culver City.
Wow.
14th year of having my salon and spa on the corner of Jasmine and Culver. A lot of people know it. We're a little infamous. Started out, basically being bikini waxers. So I've had that for 14 years. I can walk to work. I can ride my bike to work. I live about a mile or so, a mile and a half from my spa. And I have about 25 bees who work with me and have been with me for many, many years. And we offer skincare and waxing and eyebrows, and we used to do mani-pedis, but people aren't really into I couldn't find enough people who wanted to perform natural manicure pedicures. A lot of people were more into the gels and I'm kind of chemical free. Yeah. At Queen Bee, we don't like a lot of smelly chemicals and acetone and stuff. So really it's just very, very much focused on kind of hair removal and skincare at this time.
Okay. And what's it like for you to live and work in Culver City? I know you said you ride your bike, which is, I'm sure, great because traffic is not easy most of the time. So as a resident and a business owner, what's that like for you?
It's fantastic because I can't remember if this was with my husband. I said, right, I'm going to ride my bike and you drive your car up to work. This was just a few months ago, before lockdown. Mm-hmm. And it actually took him 10 minutes longer.
Wow.
To get a mile. Going to Boulevard. I was laughing with a friend of mine the other day who moved to Culver around the same time as me. I was like, do you remember when we could stand out on Culver Boulevard and it was like tumbleweeds? You could literally stand outside of my shop and not see a car for a while. So being able to walk or ride my bike, I mean, it absolutely, I have to. You never know what's going on. Traffic's definitely gotten worse. I think traffic's gotten worse, not just for locals, but also people coming in. Like my clients dread driving in at the moment. So hopefully once a lot of the construction dies down, maybe or not.
Yeah, once you get off the freeway there's a big hole in the ground. So there's a lot of traffic right now.
Yeah, we definitely have spent more time making sure our clients know how to get to us now. Like take this diversion, take that diversion, or
come this way instead of that.
Yeah, and I think I used to have a lot of my staff lived in the area, but now they've all moved out to other areas as far as Santa Clarita.
Oh wow.
Norco, a lot of people moving to the valley, so it's a lot of change.
Yeah, I'm sure.
A lot of change in there.
So I know a lot of businesses have been impacted by COVID, but the salon industry, I mean, you guys have been hit really hard.
It's really bad
for you.
Gosh, where do I even start with that? It's not good, is it really? And man, I could say a lot of things, Heather, about this, because I know it's been referred to as the dimmer switch.
Right.
Like Sacramento, it's not a dimmer switch; it's an on-off switch.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. And I'm that person that thought that we never should have opened so early. I think we should have all stayed on lockdown for. I think everybody just got opened way too early. It was confusing and a mess. I'm just really sad to see so many people I know in my industry losing their businesses.
Yeah, a lot of them.
It's just awful. I mean, we're paying full rent.
Yeah.
We're paying full rent. I'm not getting any help. And I think you probably know this, but our Santa Monica location, we're closing that down at the end of this month.
Wow.
You can't sustain something. You've been closed for 6 months. There's no income to pay the rent, and you're paying, full rent. It's crazy.
Right.
And I'm way more fortunate than some people. I've had my business for a long time, and we were new guidelines were you can work outside. So,
right.
We got our permit. We're so fortunate in Culver because I have the garden. I have 2 gardens. And so we split them into rooms, basically outdoor rooms.
Oh, nice.
It couldn't have come at a worse time, though, because of the heat.
Yes, it's been really hard on a lot of people that have had to move outside. The heat and now the poor air quality.
I'm seeing videos on various platforms of manicurists just basically passing out in parking lots.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, they're covered in ash.
Yeah.
But what do they do? They have, some of these people are single working mums, like some of my girls.
Right.
And what can you do? They have to make ends meet. They're not making enough during, they're not making enough on unemployment to pay their rent, put food on the table. And I'm just watching this struggle. And not to get too political, but the decisions to keep us locked down were completely arbitrary. It was like an arbitrary decision. Let's keep restaurants open outside and sit outside, with no masks on. I fully feel really badly for the servers at these restaurants because I'm watching them. I'm not sitting down at these restaurants to eat. There's just no way. I've maybe gone once.
Yeah.
But because I'm trained by the government, my industry are trained by the government. I mean, 600 plus hours,
everything else.
600 plus hours and a certification. I can't open without that certification. So if I approached, one of the workers at a restaurant and said, okay, can you tell me the difference between disinfection and sanitation and sterilization? Can you tell me that? The answer is going to be no. I can't tell you. I can tell you.
Yeah.
So it just seems a little bit rotten to be forgotten, honestly. Yeah. And I heard San Francisco are going back inside at 25%. That came very quickly after a certain but I'm really hoping our numbers keep going down so that we can go back inside, because I can't bear to watch this anymore. I can't bear to drive by and see people working outside. They're not sanitary conditions. You can't disinfect the floors outside.
Yeah.
You got nail clippings flying around in these winds now. Where are those nail clippings going?
Right. So I think Jeff Cooper's asking the same question that I have for you, which is, is there anything that elected officials could do to circumvent state and county guidelines? Is there something that, as somebody who's running for city council and the city council currently, is there something that we could do to help businesses like yours?
Absolutely. I'm seeing other city councils reach out to the governor on our behalf. I'm seeing other city councils visiting or reaching out or calling those businesses that are still closed to say, how are you doing? That's all some of us really need.
Yeah. How are you doing? What do you need? Is there anything you can do? Just to check in.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, having the ability to work outside is great. We can start chipping away at some of the debt. We don't want to be outside. Yeah. We want to be inside. And what more can the city council do? I actually, I appreciate some of the members on the council. I'd like to hear from a few others.
Right.
I'd like to see some more support other than, I feel a little scared at times. I hear we're going to go close down this place for operating inside. And some of us now in my community, in the beauty industry, we're feeling a little intimidated. And I don't want to feel intimidated.
Yeah, especially right now. I mean, you guys have got to reopen and try to get back on your feet.
Yeah, I don't want to feel that intimidation. I don't work for the city council. The city council works for me. That's the way I look at it. That's the way I look at elected officials. I elected you for a reason.
Correct. We're supposed to represent you. I mean, that's something I'm very, very big on,
Yes.
We work for you. We represent the people. We're not supposed to have our own agendas. We're not supposed to put our wants and needs first. It's definitely it's definitely the way that it should be. I feel like the council right now is a tad out of touch.
Yes.
They need to be more grounded, and the one thing that I think that they have missed on is being able to partner up with the Chamber of Commerce, because they're boots on the ground. They're constantly talking to everyone.
Yes.
And I think that's a valuable tool we could have used to help people like you, and businesses like yours to push back harder on the county to say, hey, these guys should be able to reopen. Here's a plan. Here's what they've gone through. Help us fight back.
Thank you. That's what we're looking for. You talk to anybody in my industry in Culver City, they'll tell you the same thing. We don't feel like we're getting a lot of support. And I do think we do need a change. And I did tell you that the reason why I came on this chat, I have been watching you, and you're the same age I was when I first moved to Culver City. I was 29. Mm-hmm. And I rented my condo in Fox Hills. And the reason I moved to Fox Hills is that it was a diverse neighborhood. And I come from a very diverse city in England. And I needed that feeling of being part of a soup.
Right.
And I
get that up here in Fox Hills. I live in Fox Hills right now.
And it was just like really friendly. People said good morning. I lived in a condo. Everybody looked out for each other. Yeah. It just felt really good. I felt like I was part of a neighborhood, and I fell in love. I fell headfirst deep in love with Culver City, and I always have been. I can never want to leave.
Yeah.
It really is just a very special place to live and work. There was no way I was opening my Queen Bee anywhere else.
So what made you want to open in Culver City? I mean, I know you have multiple locations, but what drew you to open a location in Culver City?
It just felt very, Culver City to me just felt very normal. And I'd worked in Beverly Hills. I'd lived in Santa Monica. I just, I've always felt very tight-chested when I was in those neighborhoods. Okay. And I started working out of my house, at my garage, actually. I started Queen Bee out of my garage. And I just had a baby, and I just couldn't, I couldn't work out of my house anymore. And one day I just went for a walk. I was like, gosh, what am I going to do? I'm growing out of this space. I don't really want to work from home. And I went for this pounding walk up Culver Boulevard. And on the side of the road, in the gutter, actually, was a for lease sign.
Oh, wow.
And it was next door to what used to be a 7-Eleven back in the day. And then it turned into Harold Hanselmeyer. There's been a lot of different things.
Right.
There was this cranky little bungalow in a dusty parking lot. I was like, no way is this amazing place to lease. Well, it was gross. I mean, it's like literally falling into the ground, right? It's like the ground. But I had to have this place once I learned the story. This house was built in the 1930s. So Queen Bee is in this, and it belonged to a woman she was an immigrant, and she came to Culver City to raise her family, which she did in that house. And her grandchildren still own the house. And they rent it to me, and they're lovely women. They're just very supportive of me. I tend to work with a lot of strong women.
Right.
Hoping to support a strong young woman. So Culver City was it. I mean, it was just destiny. Everything fit. Everything just really fit. So I haven't left. I've been there, like I said, 14 years. And it feels good. I don't feel as though anybody, got some strong arm of the law, telling me what to do all the time. It's always been pretty mellow, aside from, all the parking drama.
I have heard about your parking drama. That is the only thing on Culver Boulevard there. There's not much parking.
Well, I will say that the guys at the city did give us 2-hour parking, not 30-minute parking, hoping to get more 10-hour parking on the Sony side.
Right.
But really, it just comes down to being polite and look, we're not here to bother anybody.
Yeah. Has it been easy for you working with this city, or are there ways that you think we can improve in working with businesses?
I just think that I just think communication. I just think, drop-ins here and there. Like I said, how are you doing? I see the chamber are making, Colin's making big steps.
Right.
Moving forward with like, hello, how are you? There's nothing, I know it's really hard right now with COVID and the masks, but just to have a face, just even to say hello.
I know last week, Can Dance from All That and More Boutique in Culver City said that one of the things that she wished is that as things reopened, that the city had at least reached out and said, how are you doing on PPE? Can we help you find some? Can we give you some? Is that something that you think the city should be doing as well?
Well, I don't know, because I feel as though there are other organizations that could benefit more from that outreach. We're in the salon and spa industry. We actually, Queen Bee ended up donating all of our masks to Children's Hospital because they didn't have enough. Shockingly, they didn't have enough masks. So we usually in our industry can get our hands on stuff because, again, we are trained
right
in disinfection. We are trained. We get the same training that nurses get on cleaning.
Wow. Yeah. I think a lot of people don't know that, and that's one of the most frustrating parts, for salon owners in the salon industry is they're sitting here going, "We're well trained."
We're well trained. The reason why we didn't run out of PPE.
Yeah.
Because you should be responsible enough as a person in the salon industry to have that stuff stocked up in your closets. I mean, we haven't run out of Barbicide. We haven't run out of Cavicide. We didn't run out of Clorox wipes. And again, we've donated plenty. Mm-hmm. We have donated plenty of that stuff. I just, going back to what can people do, and I feel like we've been completely forgotten. That's how I feel. And I see a lot of people in my industry losing hope.
Right.
You've got a nail salon down the street. It's the only nail salon I'll take my daughter where I feel safe. Mm-hmm. Miss Sundays. It's wonderful. It's just wonderful. And so clean. They're cleaning all the time, even before COVID. That's why I really like them, because they're always cleaning. Yeah. They've got this little tiny weeny little parking lot and an area for one person. It's like grotty. Yeah. I don't want to get a service outside.
Yeah. I know the nail shop I've been going to since I was a kid, they had the same issue. Their back patio is just big enough for them to have a table to eat on when they take a break, but to move clients outside, it's literally one at a time.
Yes.
And that's so hard when you're trying to reopen and get back on your feet. Right. And then of course doing nails and even wax or anything like that, you've got the elements falling in on you, and that's not easy.
Oh, do you want to hear a funny story?
I love funny stories.
I had a client last week, and I was outside in my little area, and there's Elia, and it's all pretty, and all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, something's tickling my stomach," and I looked down, and it was an inchworm, and there was an inchworm on her stomach, like,
oh my gosh.
The day, because it's an old building. We had a termite on a client, and there.
Oh my god!
And the client didn't mind it so much, and I was like, well, maybe it's good luck. And I was like, hey, hold up, buddy, don't go any further.
Yeah. Exactly. So Maria's asking, have you had to lay off some of your team? How has that been for you and for them?
It's miserable, actually. And look, I didn't really actually have to lay anybody off. What happened was this: people just got sick of not being able to go back to work.
Right.
And some of our staff have moved. We've got one that's moved back to Nebraska, one that's gone to Idaho, another that might be moving to Texas. And some are just completely disillusioned with it altogether and have said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I might just go and drive for Uber or Lyft. I might do this. I might do that. So yeah, I would say a good half of our staff. What really concerns me is the underground economy that's happened as a result of this lockdown. I know for a fact that people are going to people's homes.
Yeah.
To perform these services. I know for a fact that people are working out of their homes and taking clients in. Fact.
Yeah. I have seen a lot of that going on.
Yes.
A lot of that.
It's sad to me because I know that there are ex-staff members of mine doing this. And that scares me, because when you go into somebody's home, that's not a controlled environment. That's not an environment. I don't know how you clean your home.
Right.
I'm not coming to your house.
You're right.
I'm not. I'm not too much of a freak about this stuff. But there is an underground economy now. And it irks me, because I know these people are also claiming unemployment. People during first lockdown,
right,
and the bigger checks were going out, and people were getting $1,200 a week, and then seeing clients on the side,
right,
in their homes or at the client's home. It's just nuts. It's just nuts. We should be able to open safely. We should be able to open safely right now.
Yeah. I agree. And I think that what needs to happen is we need to have people that are willing to push and to, help you guys with a stronger, more forceful voice, whether that's the city pushing on the county to push on the state, or, going to the state yourself. I mean, again, it boils down to, the city government works for you.
Yes.
And the city government needs to support the businesses here, because if you guys fail, the city fails.
Yeah.
It's definitely
true. This is absolutely true. And I'm there for my community. A lot of parents who may see this know we're extremely grateful. We're extremely generous. We always donate to the schools. We always take care of the teachers. And we're big time community supporters.
Yeah. I think the nice thing about Culver City is, more than some other cities, is our residents really do value our small businesses. So I know for Candace, she was saying, people started buying online, and unfortunately for you, that's not quite an option for most of what you do. And as she's opened, she's found that the community has really backed her and been behind her, and, that kind of thing. And so I'm sure once you guys are able to fully open and, go back to some type of normal, I'm sure the community is going to be there for you too, because we all love our small businesses.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough for us to, the other day I was like, what? Let me just run into TJ Maxx and I'll go really early, because they're the best hand soaps, and they have these hand soaps in a pump from England. They're called Pecksniffs, which is actually a really bad word in one country. So I was like, let me run in, and I'm going to go and get some hand soaps for the shop. And I went in, and you couldn't move in. I mean, it was crazy in there. People are shoulder to shoulder. I took video of it because I couldn't believe it, and I sent it to somebody in my organization. And there are 20 people in line. Nobody was social distancing. There are kids running around without masks on. I'm like, how is it that these retail spaces are essential? How is it? I mean, yes, I needed my soap, my snooty soap, but how is it that place is essential and mine isn't?
Yeah,
it's crazy. I mean, this is in Culver City, so why aren't those places being inspected?
Yeah.
Why aren't people going in there and finding TJ Maxx for having too many people in and not wearing masks? And why are we cowering? My industry cowering in a corner.
Play by the rules. I hear you.
And we are. Trust me, we are playing by the rules.
Yeah.
It's going back to what can the city do to support us?
Yeah.
Well, first off, please support us. Right. And that's why, Heather, I think it's time for some fresh, young thinking.
Yes, I definitely think
that. More women like you who understand. You were born and raised in Culver City, right? You went through schools.
Yeah, I went through from preschool on. My parents were born and raised here also. So it's, I've seen the way it's changed over the years, but the one thing that hasn't changed is the love and the support for small businesses like yours. And I think right now, like I said, I think that the council is just a bit out of touch.
Yeah.
A lot of missed opportunities to work with our businesses to make sure that you guys are okay. And it's something as simple as picking up the phone, hey, I'm a member of your council. I care about your business. What can I do? What can I bring to the table this week to try and help businesses like yours?
I think that would be lovely. I think it'd And I'm also seeing that, I'm also seeing that with our police department as well, because I don't know if I told you this. One of the reasons I wanted to live in Culver City was I had lived in Santa Monica.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a night where this guy was trying to get into our building.
Wow.
And I was on my own and I was single. And it was really scary. And I called Santa Monica Police Department and they didn't show. Called them 3 times and they didn't show. And then I ended up having to call a neighbor, and everyone put their lights on. And the guy, I don't know what his intention was, but he was trying to break in.
Right.
I was like, I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe in Santa Monica. I just don't. And I got a job. I was working at Sony at Game Show Network, right next to the conservatory. They had just opened.
Wow.
Favorite coffee shop on the planet. And I started to walk around Culver City. I started to walk. I was like, I really love this town. People were saying good morning. People were saying hello and waving on their porches. And I'm like, what is this? Like,
yeah.
You just felt safe. You just felt really, really safe in Culver. And, talking with my neighbors now and talking with my many clients who live in Culver, we just want to bring things back. It's all feeling a little bit divided at the moment. I don't like it. I'm
very much
a bit of an empath, and I'm beginning to feel that. Ooh,
right. Yeah. The whole thing is we're all in this together. I do my Wednesday lives, and we call those Together with Heather, because at the end of the day, we are all in this together. We have to get through this together. We need to work on this together. And especially with policing, there's a very big conversation going on right now about what that's going to look like going forward. And I think that part of what's missing right now and part of the divisiveness is everyone's talking and no one is listening. So you have, people just clashing heads, but nobody's listening to each other to find out what are they saying, so that way I can broaden my views and maybe learn something from them. And what can I say that would add value or give them more information that they may not otherwise have?
Yes.
And I think that's something that I want to bring to the table as a council member, is I want to listen to everyone. I don't have an agenda going into this. I don't have plans for some future run for office. I want to represent the people of this city. They need a voice. Everyone needs to feel like they're being listened to, because a lot of what's going on right now is just boiled frustration from not being listened to, from feeling like you're not represented. And I totally get that.
Yeah. That's really important to talk about. I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm not going to base any of my opinions based on a yard sign.
Right.
I'm just not. I want to have these conversations.
They're so important.
Space time is so important. And I got my knickers in a right twist a few weeks ago, because I do know a lot of people in Culver just based on my business, and I love communicating with them and hearing how they feel about things. And people are beginning to feel the same. I've spoken with some moms who say they feel bullied into believing a certain way. Sometimes, they're like, this is how you have to feel. This is how you have to vote. And so I took the time and I actually called PD, and I said, the Culver Police Department, I was like, is there any way somebody could just come and sit down and chat with me? Because I need to understand more. I had my concerns.
Right.
And I said, look, what are we doing about traffic? What are we doing about race? What are we doing about your reputation? I don't want to lose you.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose CCTV. So what can we do to work together where we can actually have these conversations?
And that's so important.
Right.
And I feel, especially at the community forum that they did last time, there were so many just negative, nasty comments going on. I mean, it was so hard to watch in the chat box. I had to just close it.
Doesn't help.
It doesn't help at all. It's not productive.
And I feel as though some people are way more brave behind the protection of their computers.
1,000%. Yeah.
And if you could, it's like when somebody leaves a nasty Yelp review. Well, I can do that because and I just think that if you just took the time to sit down with those people and had a conversation, you don't have to agree. You don't have to Great. And I, as I said before, I had my concerns. What are you doing about this? What can we do more? How can we help as a community instead of yelling at each other? So I'm liking the steps forward. I see, some CCPD are going to be going on foot patrol, which I'm really, really excited about.
Absolutely.
How I grew up in England with our local bobbies, stopping for a cup of tea and a biscuit. That's when my grandfather was a sergeant in the police force during the Second World War.
Oh, wow.
And my older sister was a police officer, a female police officer, for almost 30 years in a really tough city. And she didn't make it to the 30 years, unfortunately, because she's got post-traumatic stress from, some of the things she got called to were just beyond comprehension. So she's just kind of done. But I don't want to have to call a sheriff's department.
Oh, yeah. We have wonderful response times. We have just for the West Side, we have an amazing level of service. And it's something that I've said this whole time, defunding anything by 50% or just arbitrarily coming in and saying, we're going to do this and we're going to cut, a significant portion of any budget, police, fire, anything that you're going to do that way. It's just irresponsible. You need to look at things and really evaluate. And these conversations are so important,
right?
Because you may think it's okay, but for instance, on a good day, Culver City only has 12 guys patrolling. If you cut it in half and we only have 6, what's that going to do to service calls? What's your response time going to be? And for businesses, how fast can you get somebody there when seconds count, and sometimes lives are at risk. Do you want to make sure that your city is fully supportive and has the staff that they need rather than, trying to arbitrarily just defund 50%? I mean, there's no way that ends well.
I don't like that word. It's just a terrible word to use. Defund. I think it's very confusing to some people. And again, that's why these conversations are really important.
Correct.
People should just, wake up. The PD are very, very happy to come to your home or your business and talk to you.
Oh, absolutely. Coffee with a cop. I mean, they're very approachable. They are very responsive.
Ask uncomfortable questions.
Yes.
That's what I did. I'm really sorry I'm going to ask you this, but I have to call them.
But I think part of it, like I said, is we have to listen to one another. And that includes listening to, hard people like the police, and ensuring that we're all deepening the conversation and adding something of value rather than just blaming each other and going around in this vicious circle.
It doesn't help. It's not, like I told you, I'm not going to be part of any group. I don't care what side they're on. I'm not going to be a part of any group. So don't try to bring me in, because I won't. And that's why I got so frustrated, because I have people on both sides saying, you have to do this and you have to do that. No, I don't. I'm an individual thinker, and I'm going to do what's safer for me and my family and my neighbors. We have
Sorry.
We had, we have a homeless individual who has been kind of camping out on our street in Vets Park. My neighbor found him asleep 12 o'clock in the day, noon, on her porch. But now he's kind of, taken to defecating on people's driveways and peeing, and it's on plenty of Nest and Ring cameras. And whilst I'm sure he's harmless, that doesn't make me feel safe. It just doesn't. And so that's why I think we need to have more conversations. And I've got somebody, who likes to come to Queen Bee and sit in the parking lot and shoot up heroin. I can't have needles in my parking lot.
Wow. Yeah.
And I've asked him to leave. He doesn't listen to me. So I had to call PD. They were there in 90 seconds. And they were polite to him. You can't be here. And then we have to go outside and, pick up all of this paraphernalia. It's not safe. I got kids who use my parking lot to learn to ride bikes.
Wow. Yeah.
We just can't have.
I know some people over on over on Globe, which is next to the freeway. And a lot of them are having issues with finding drug paraphernalia on their porches when they wake up, and
Really sad.
people passed out in their yards. I mean, it's really hard, and the county should be doing more, and the PD should be able to go up there and assist.
Yeah.
I think that there's some misunderstandings on what they do. They don't just arrest people. Sometimes they offer them the help that they need.
Well, that was one of the questions. That was a big question for me. Because I did ask the police officer, I said, what do you do? What? And they said they have a budget for that, and they send somebody over and they explain to the person, you can't be here or you can't do that, but we know of a place where we can take you that will be safe for you. But the problem is, because it's sober living and you can't do drugs there most of the time, these people don't want to go.
Yeah.
They don't want to go, and mental illness is just awful. I have a sister who's been an addict for most of her life, so I know what it's like.
Right.
A heroin addict, and she's 40 years old now. She started at 16. It's so destructive, and it's so sad. I mean, mental illness is just it's got to be taken seriously. It tears families apart. It tears families apart, and it tears communities apart.
I've shared this a few times, but my aunt is mentally ill, and she lives in assisted living provided by the government. But she was also a drug addict, which feeds into the mental illness a lot of the time. And when she's homeless, she comes to Culver City because this is, where she grew up. This is where she feels safe. And one time I saw her, and it just, it breaks your heart to see family in that situation. Yeah. So I went to the police department. I said, what can I do? How can you help me help her get back on her feet? And they said, here's the number for the LA Department of Mental Health. Give them a call, talk to her caseworker, see if they can help you. So I called this number, and I spoke to a man on the phone, and I explained the whole situation. He pulled up her file, and I said, how can I help you help her to get her off the street, to get her, back into the home that she was in? And he said, the best thing you can do is forget about her. And it caught me so off guard. I was like, what do you mean? Forget about her. I'm calling you to ask for help, and your response is forget about her. And that's part of the reason why I feel for the homeless issue. There's a multi-layered issues there. Yeah. And I think part of it is the city needs to pressure the county and say, you guys have all this money. You're supposed to be helping us provide services to these individuals, and you're not doing it. Time to scrap and start over. Yeah. I think we've hit that point where things aren't being properly funded. For all the money that they have, so little has been done. Yeah. And I think that's
I agree 100%. And I like the fact that you are solutions based. You are looking for solutions. You're not just, rah about this. This is what you're doing
you can complain until you're blue in the face, but what's the point?
You can take action and do something about it. I'm kind of, I'm a little bit of a Virgo, and I need solutions to something, not just talk. Don't give me 20 memos to solve something that could take 5 minutes in a conversation. Right. Yeah. Why didn't we get a big ass check from Amazon? Tell me why. Why didn't we walk into some of these big companies like Apple and HBO and Amazon and say, you need to write us a big check so that we can do this.
Right.
Work more with our homeless community, and we can help out a little bit more with schools and things that we need. It's just, I don't know. I get so frustrated. I feel like so many things.
There's just a lot of missed opportunities. There's a lot of things we could be doing that are going unnoticed, and I agree with you. Some fresh eyes and some fresh perspective.
Yeah, I think so.
It's time,
It is. And refreshing again, you're here, you are, you're 29 years old. Right. That's significant for me, because I was 29 when I moved to Culver City. And that's when I started. That's when my life started. When I moved to Culver City.
My parents growing up always, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you have something of value, you bring it to the table and you lay it out. And I started getting involved in going to city council meetings to speak when I was just a teenager, still in high school. And a lot of people don't want to listen to what you say, but you know what? You still stand up and you say it, because sometimes you come up with things that others haven't even thought of yet.
Yeah.
You know, and diversity of opinion is so important, because again, you can't have a conversation if it's one-sided.
No.
You know, you really have to work together and bring everything to the table and lay it all out and find the best solution, not just the one that the majority feels is going to work.
Yeah. And I'm as passionate as you are about this, our little city.
Yeah.
I won't always be right. None of us will be.
No, of course not.
And I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to listen to what other people, I do listen. But again, the most important thing to me is my business succeeding and being able to stay where we are. I hope this doesn't go on much longer. I mean, I definitely would like to hear from certain members of the city council. I'd like to see some proactive behavior,
right,
on the part of some of us small businesses.
Yeah.
Happy to pick up.
Rafael shared a comment here. As a small business owner, I feel it's important for businesses to provide safety for your employees and your clients when they come to work or visit your business. I think we can all agree with that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's one of the things. But when people come to Queen Bee, they don't live in Culver City. They say, yeah, you know, you've got such a great reputation here, your schools and your services. I was like, yeah.
It's, you know, there's usually three things that draw Culver City people in. It's the schools, the police, and the fire department. I mean, those are always top three. And it's funny because no matter who you talk to, you know, those are the top three things. And then after that usually goes the small town feel, but living in a larger city. You don't get that anywhere else on the west side. Santa Monica is vastly different. Beverly Hills is different. I mean, we are this little pocket of charm.
I remember telling some of my friends I was going to buy in Culver City, because when I was in my condo, I love my condo, but I got pregnant. I was like, I can't. The elevator was always breaking, and there was no plodding up these stairs with a big old belly. And we were fortunate enough to make some money on our condo, so we were able to buy a house. I remember some of my friends saying, ew, why would you buy in Culver City? Guess where they all want to live now?
Culver City.
Guess where they all want. Oh, really? Good luck. I remember my friends who lived north of Wilshire in a very upscale neighborhood, and there was a spate of robberies where people were breaking into their fancy homes. They called LAPD. Sorry, LAPD, I know you're busy. How long did it take them to come out?
30 minutes.
I called Culver PD once when my husband was away and I had a newborn, and I said there are noises in my attic. 2 minutes. 2 minutes to come out. Now, when I tell you that there were 5 male Culver City police officers in my house, so I'm like, there are noises in my house. Not one of them wanted to go up into the attic. Not one of them wanted to go up into the attic. I probably like a squirrel or a rat or something, but it was really loud. Everyone's like, I don't want to go up there.
But they show up, you know.
You know, I would miss that if we didn't have that.
I
mean, things are gonna. I feel like, again, like we can pull together. This town is we can pull together. I've already noticed that now, like people are beginning to say hello more, and maybe this lockdown will bring about some change, some good change. People are craving interaction.
Yes, very much so. I was so glad.
Say good morning to me. I make people say good morning, and they'll look down at their phones like this, and I'm like, morning.
Yes, you know, I mean, I think it's with everything going online and everything being virtual, you miss the face-to-face conversations. And myself and many others at first with the city council, I mean, I understand they were getting their stuff together, and this was all so fast and, you know, basically overnight that everything shut down. But I said, you know, the one thing I miss during the meetings is seeing your faces. I can't see you. And especially as someone who's hard of hearing, I look at you when I talk because I'm watching what you're saying at the same time. And people's microphones are different, all of that. And it's important to have that FaceTime, even if you're not together. So I was really glad that they brought the video in for these last few times.
Absolutely.
And I think that we just have to adapt, and we need to reach out and do more conversations like this to find out what we can do to support each other, what we can do to make things better, to make things easier, to get word out.
Yeah.
And it's not just talking, it's definitely listening.
Yeah. I do appreciate you, Heather, because again, as I said, you do listen. That was the reason I really would prefer to be, sitting down with a cup of coffee today and just staring at nature through the, on my moments of time off, because I am really busy. But I do appreciate what you have to say.
Thank you.
And I'm glad that you don't talk to me in a pedantic way, and that you are encouraging me to vote a certain way. I appreciate that you're not using language on your website that seems a little nefarious.
Right.
I appreciate that.
I'm not a fan of buzzwords. I said I'm not a fan of buzzwords.
No, and I like that, because I'm not either. Honest dialogue.
Very real.
Yes.
And it's something I said, even a lot of people ask about budget questions, and I know I ask some questions sometimes about budget, and people really talk down to you. And there's no reason for that. Nobody should be ashamed to ask a question. Nobody should be embarrassed. And I think that bringing it down to a level where everyone is understanding and everyone can participate and feel that their voice is valued and ask those important questions is really, really important. And I think that's especially why I am running, is to be a voice for those people.
Right.
We need to have more, some people, I've had a conversation yesterday with somebody that said, I don't feel smart enough to go, do comments at a city council meeting. And I said, well, what do you mean? And he said, it's just they're all lawyers and attorneys, and they know what to say, and I don't feel smart enough. And I said, never, never, ever. If you're 12, if you're 81, I don't care. You speak your mind and you add something to our conversation. The only dumb question is a question you don't ask.
Right.
And it should always, and I hate that people feel that way. If
I don't
understanding what's going on, then you're explaining it wrong.
Right. And the stigma that just because you're a lawyer, you're smarter than me.
Correct.
That road. I worked for a huge Boston law firm and quickly ran. I mean, I had the chance to go to law school. No thanks. No thanks. I appreciate lawyers, but I don't like that stigma attached to all these people that are lawyers and this and that. So what? So what?
Yeah.
I mean, some of the best business people and smartest people around didn't even go to college.
Yeah, it's so true. And Jeff is asking me right now if I've spoken at, have you spoken at city council meetings, Heather, during the last several years? Yes, I have, Jeff. A lot. And I try to keep it simple. I try to keep it straightforward. I don't like to mess around. Straight to the point. This is how I feel. This is what I think would be beneficial. And this is why I think you should do things. And I think that's how the council should be speaking as well. I think that things need to be more explained, and people need to feel more comfortable to participate, because if they're not comfortable, then you're not getting the full input from everyone that you could be. So, do I consider myself an activist? I guess so. I guess an activist would be an accurate term. I think that I think activist brings some negative connotations also, but I feel like I'm an activist for the city. I want what's best for the city. I want what's best for the people that live here. And one of the things that I've been talking about implementing and talking about wanting to bring to the table is I would love for there to be neighborhood dialogues where, once a month, once every other month, whatever, these community meetings can happen. And because I feel like it's so important. You live in a certain community and you know the issues there, but you don't necessarily know the issues. Like, I don't know all of the issues going on in your neighborhood, Jodi. So if I, as a council member, once a month, once every other month, whatever, sat down at a meeting with your community and said, what issues are you having? How can I help? That's what I feel my job is. And I think that's what's missing is we've got, unless you come to the council, no one's going to know what's happening.
Right.
I want the council to come to you and say, what's going on? How can we help? I think that's the big difference I want to see and I want to make on this council is I want the community outreach to be from the top down, you know, and I want the council to reach out to community members rather than having community members always reaching out to them. I want us to be approachable. I want us to be, you know, at the end of the day, we're all neighbors. And that's what I want to take it back to. You know, I don't want it to feel like some club that you can't be a part of. I think it's really important for all of us to be approachable and for people to feel like they can come and they can trust us and they can talk to us at any time. And that goes the same for businesses. You know, I know I had one woman say that she reached out to the city when things were first happening. She didn't understand what she was allowed to do, needed clarification. And she called and left a message every day for 2 weeks, and no one called her back. And she said, I picked up the phone for the chamber and I left a message and I got a call back in 24 hours and I knew what I was allowed to do. And I think that's a big difference. The city can't drop the ball like that when businesses are trying to do their best to remain open. And I think that we need to work on that. And going forward, we need to have more conversations like this. I mean, this was something so easy for us to do.
And exciting.
Yeah.
And like you say, you're talking about supporting. I'm more, again, I'll use that word, intimidated.
Yeah.
Right now.
It shouldn't be.
I mean, any day now, I'm like, is somebody from the city going to come in here and try to intimidate? It's crazy that I should feel that way.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Zero understanding. And I don't feel like there's a lot of empathy for a lot of small business that still can't open. We still can't reopen.
Yeah.
Outside, yes.
Right.
It's lovely having some, I mean, we have great ventilation in our buildings. I'm not bonkers. I mean, I like to do everything by the book. And if you're not doing it by the book, then shame on you. You shouldn't be open.
Yeah. So we've got a comment from Todd right now. It says, I have felt that the majority of council members have made their minds up firmly on issues before public comment. Heather, you obviously have opinions, which is great and appropriate. How will you ensure that you're able to listen to a cross-section of opinions that weigh in your decision making as a representative of the residents? You know, Todd, that's a really, really good question. And one that I'm very passionate about. I can have opinions. And everyone's entitled to have them. And sometimes those opinions, when you listen to other people, you learn something, and that can vastly change your opinions. But if you go in there with a, this is what I'm doing attitude, you're never going to learn. Nothing different is going to get done. And I feel like that's my strength right there, is being able to listen to people that I don't necessarily agree with and say, that's a really good point. I hadn't thought about that. And come up with a way to incorporate things that work better for all the residents, not just any particular faction, or even doing what I feel is best isn't always going to be best. And I feel like that's really what's missing. And that's part of the frustration right now, is you have these people who have their minds made up. And I know, me too, you know, going in, sometimes you talk and you're like, I already know which way this is going. And that's so frustrating. And I want to be able to listen to people and to make that connection. You know, I read something by a couple of guys I don't agree with normally. And part of their letter to the editor had a really good point that I hadn't thought about, and it changed my perspective on that issue. And it made me take a step back and say, you know what, the way I was thinking about that doesn't necessarily work for what they were talking about. And I was able to reevaluate and look at things and take a different light and really change my opinion and form a better conclusion with more facts and more information. And I feel like that's what's left out right now, is you have this echo chamber that's not really, it's not conducive to anything. You know, you say something and it just, unless it's what's already believed and what's already going on, it doesn't get heard and it doesn't get valued. And I really want to change that. So thank you for that question, Todd. That's definitely my plan. And, you know, that's part of the reason I wanted to do these small business Saturdays with our businesses, is I'm not a business owner. You know, I feel for you guys. I want to understand, and being able to take it to that level and bring it to you and ask you, what do you need from me? How can I help you going forward? I feel like that's really important. No one should be an expert on everything. We should reach out.
You know, Heather, the one thing I don't want to see is Culver City become 3rd Street Promenade.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's where you'll see businesses like ours, small business owners, either closing down or moving out or going elsewhere.
Yeah.
We've already got, I like the Culver Steps. I helped with a promotional video for them. I think it's great. It's a lovely place for families and people to hang out.
Right.
I see some good things coming. Do I want to see Sephora there? Not really. Sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry. Because that to me says, okay, we're becoming 3rd Street Promenade.
Right. And so many people feel that way.
Maybe some people do that for Culver City. I don't.
I think
I like the charm of the mom and pop shops. I like the charm of family restaurants. That's another thing that, look, there wasn't much open when I moved into Culver, but I just saw Le Déjeuner after 21 years.
Right.
My favorite place to go get fries and deliciousness.
Yeah. I mean, Little George's coffee shop over on Sephora. Yes. You know, some of those, and that's a big thing for me, is Culver City. Like I've said, we're not other cities. We're different. You know, we're incorporated, and we are this little town full of charm on the west side. And I don't want to see us, you know, for lack of a better word, sell out and lose who we are as a city and what made us so great. You know, it really is about protecting our community and our character.
Yeah.
We have such rich history, and we have so much going on here. And do we have some growing pains? Absolutely. Every city goes through it, but it's balancing that growth while maintaining our small town feel and our charm and our character.
Yeah.
Because like you said, a lot of people move here because they love it. You know, I grew up on a block where I knew all of my neighbors. I went to school with their kids. I babysat some of their kids when, you know, they were younger than me. And we grew up, you know, going trick-or-treating all up and down all the blocks together. And my parents never felt like if we were outside by ourselves, we were unsafe or something was going to happen. Whereas if we lived in a different area, that wouldn't have been possible.
Yeah. We had I mean, I don't mean to scare anybody, but most people in my neighborhood know this. But a year or two ago, we had a couple of guys in a car pull out a gun on 2 13-year-olds who lived across the street from me, take their cell phone. Right there. It's on everybody's Nest and Ring cameras. They'd stolen a car. I don't know if they were ever caught. You know, again, PD were there within minutes.
And that's what I'm saying. When seconds count, you can count
on new families coming in, and you know, you've got to get involved now. I'm terrible. I never used to get involved because I just assumed everything's fine and lovely. But now I feel as though I have to be. It's my responsibility for those people moving in to Culver City to allow them to feel the way I did.
Right.
When I first moved in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now, you know, if my daughter walks down to Tanner's or somewhere to get a coffee, keep your phone on. Don't talk to anyone. I shouldn't have to do that.
Right. Right.
Do it. It's so crazy. I don't want that, which is why I encourage everybody now to be involved and to listen and to talk and to have open conversations.
Yeah, it's so important. You know, we and any elected official can go in, it's easy to have your own opinions and to get so wrapped up in yourself. I feel like it's harder to do this.
Yeah.
It's harder to sit down with people and be asked these tough questions. It's hard to say, I don't know, but I'll get back to you. And that's really what I want to bring is we need that diversity, and we need people that are willing to do, you know, basic work and put their feet on the floor and hit the ground running, and be that voice that's, it may be unpopular, but we're going to listen and we're going to learn.
Exactly. I know. And talking is great. And then just a message to anybody who's going to try and trip me up or trip you up in this conversation. There will be those waiting to trip you up. I've had it happen to me.
Yeah.
Instead of doing that, why don't you just start reaching out and having conversations, which is what I did.
Yeah.
It's so refreshing. I'm not tight-chested anymore. Just being able to just talk. It's so refreshing.
Yes. And it's something that we all need. It's so easy to get wrapped up, and it's so easy to villainize people, or to sit here and call them out and be mean and nasty. It takes some real fortitude to sit here and have these conversations.
Yeah.
And Rafia says we need diversity in thought process on our city council, not just in race and ethnicity. I agree. All forms of diversity, Rafia. All forms of diversity. Candance. Hi, Candance. Good morning. How will you be able to remain open to listen when it appears your peers have made their decision? Candance, I want not only for me to be able to sit here and listen, I'm hoping that by starting that and leading the way, I can bring the other council members along with me. I think that it's really important. And I think that if we're able to start this, we really need to be aware of who's participating and who's not, who's listening to you and who's not, because you and we, the residents, have the power to change that. And if we're not being represented, if people are not listening to us and they're not doing their job of working for us, every 2 years we get a chance to change that. And that's really important. I can't stress it enough. Everyone needs to vote. Everyone needs to vote. Please vote. I really want to represent my community, and I want to do what's best for my community and the people that live in it. I mean, there's no other agenda there. And then my mom, good morning, said, as a kid growing up in Culver City, I knew of at least 1 to 2 houses in any neighborhood that I could go to for emergency for help. Totally. I think that's something really unique about Culver City. Mm-hmm. You have neighbors who have the key to your house.
Oh, my street for sure.
And you have places where you tell your kids, if you're in trouble, go here and they'll help you. No questions asked, just show up. I had friends growing up that their parents, if you were too embarrassed to call your mom and say, hey, this is what's going on, call me and I'll be there for you. And that's really part of that small town charm, and that's part of our character, is we are that type of community. And that's something you can't find other places.
I mean, I still have a neighbor who borrows a cup of sugar from me. Yeah. And I'll borrow an egg from her.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's so wonderful. I love doing that. I know. I had neighbors here, I live in a giant apartment complex, but I still have neighbors that'll knock on the door. Hey, do you have any baking powder? And I'm like, of course I do. I bake all the time, and that's so nice. Everyone feels comfortable enough to go knock on their neighbor's door and say, can I borrow, or do you mind, or can you help me? And I mean, I even remember when I was growing up, the lady next door was getting older and her husband was older, and she had fallen and needed help getting up. And they went and they knocked on our neighbor's door, and he went over there to help her. And I mean, where else can you find that? And when he found that he wasn't able to help her, he called, 911, and the fire department came out and helped her. And I mean, that is our charm, and that is our city. That's the best,
it's rare. It's a little gem, I'll tell you that.
Right. I mean, one of the things that I laugh at is my husband and I, after we got married, he grew up in Culver City also. And we talked about, do you want to move away? Where do you want to live? And both of us were like, no, right here. Right here is where we need to be. There's no better place than here.
It's no place like home.
Correct.
Right? Well, that was filmed right in our
Exactly. And I laugh because I tell some people sometimes, they're like, what is it about Culver City? I was like, Culver City is the ruby slippers.
Yeah.
When you click them together, there's no place like home. You can leave to go to college. At the end of the day, I feel like so many people go, Culver City is still home.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't wait to get back here.
Yeah.
That's and that makes us so unique and so different.
Special little place. We have to protect it.
Absolutely. Candace said, that's great, Heather. I agree. It starts with you. Thank you, Candace. You can model it. Absolutely. Yes, I borrow butter. Candace, you can come to me for butter anytime. I keep it in my freezer. Rafia says, I'm always baking and sharing my baked goods with my neighbors. Someone has to help me eat it. Yes. It's so nice to be able to live in a community like that.
Yeah, it is. And having a business there as well, and just being able to meet a ton of the community.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's so great. I've never felt uncomfortable to knock on somebody's door and ask for something. I've never felt unwelcomed or unwanted. I think that it's special to live in a place like that that's really welcoming and all-inclusive.
And I hope that a lot of the new families moving into Culver City know that about us.
Right.
And that you do understand that that's who we are as a community.
Yeah. And we have grown into that community, and we need to make sure that we continue growing the right way, and that we're responsible with what we're doing and how we act. And Candace says, Jodi and Todd Shays, thank you for continuing to show up. You're the small business that should always be in Culver. I agree, Candace. You guys are so special. Queen Bee, you guys really, really set the standard for other businesses.
It's a really happy little hive over there. I've worked with some amazing women of all. I mean, I've collected some team members over there that just from every spectrum. Yeah. I had a staff member with me for years, and she identified as queer. Mm-hmm. And she would walk down Jasmine to her car. She moved back to Philly, and she said, she's like, I've worked in some towns and cities, and she's like, this town is the only one that's ever really made me feel safe to be who I am.
Yeah.
And that's why I love living and working in Culver.
Yeah.
It makes me so happy.
We are a great little community.
Yeah.
Candace says, Jodi, thanks for the transparency and passion.
Yes.
I love it.
I'm a Virgo. I'm extra passionate.
There you go.
I've done this month than ever before. If Virgos ruled the world.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, we've been on for quite a while.
Oh my gosh, it's time for a cup of tea. My mouth is like, you can't go this long without a steamy beverage.
I know. So I think we're going to get ready to sign off.
Okay.
But everyone, Jodi is from the Queen Bee Salon. Again, if you want to visit Jodi, the Queen Bee Salon is located over there on Culver Boulevard. Her address has been in the ticker this whole time, so you can visit her there. And they also have a website. And Jodi,
we're in the garden.
There you go. Is there anything you want people to know before we sign off?
Just have good hopes and thoughts for us, for my industry, that we can get back inside soon. I've got lots of little bees who want to come back to work. One of them is a Culver City resident, born and raised. Her dad was a captain in the fire department. She can't be outside much. She has epilepsy, and the heat brings on her seizures. I got to get her back to work. The mental health stuff going on right now. So any support I could get from my community on reaching out to the city, to anybody in government that would listen, to get us back inside. And I can promise you right now that we are so on top of protocols and guidelines. Beyond. In fact, beyond.
Yeah.
So, and then just one word, Heather, is just as a woman, I'm just really, really proud of you. You're just a great role model. I see, if this is how you are now, I don't know what the next 10 years will be like for you, but you're very special.
Well,
And
thank you.
as a woman, I'm really, really proud of you.
Well, thank you so much. I'm
So,
definitely, this is the year of the woman, I feel. There's a lot of us running for a lot of different things.
yeah.
And I want to remind everyone that if you have any questions about me or my campaign, continue to comment here. I do go back. I read all of the comments. I'm very responsive. On my Facebook page, you can also, there's a phone number to call me, and lots of people have. They've called, they've texted, and I answer each one personally. I just want you all to know that. And if you have any questions, I'm super approachable. I love having conversations. It's the way that we learn. And it's definitely something that I'm bringing with my campaign, is that ability to reach out and to talk to a council member day, night, whenever. You should be able to reach me, and you should be able to have conversations with me. So please continue to reach out, any questions. You can also go to my website, heather@culvercitycouncil.com. And part of the reason, I know a lot of people use their last name for campaigns, and a lot of people ask me, why are you just using Heather? I want that. That's how I want our conversations to be. I'm down to earth. I'm a person, and I want you to know my name, and I want you to feel comfortable calling me and saying, hey, Heather. I don't want you to call and say, hey, Mrs. Woolen, or, anything like that. Super down to earth. I want us to have great conversations. So please reach out, any questions, anytime. So with that, I think we're going to sign off. Thank you, everyone, for joining on this Saturday morning. And I will talk to you all later. Thank you, Jodi, for coming.
Thanks for having me on, and just thanks to the community. I miss everyone.
I know. I can't wait for us all to be able to get back together.
Good thoughts, numbers coming down. Put your bloody masks on, people.
Yes. Yes. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful Saturday, a wonderful weekend.
Thanks, Heather.